Internet, and welcome back to my channel. I'm your favorite drag queen turned GM, Shelly Von Miller. If you don't know who I am and you're new here, welcome. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like things like this. Yes, this is another interview, but it's not for After the Table, my podcast. You should go listen to it. It's also on YouTube, blah, blah, blah. There's the pitch. Today we're sitting down with a repeat guest. I love repeat guests because one, I get to follow up on projects that they've been working on, and two, also prod them on projects that they might have mentioned in videos in past and just be like, what's going on? If you like King Arthur, Avalon, and the Green Knight movie starring Dave Patel, then you'll like what our guest is bringing out soon. Let's give a big welcome back to David Larkins, line editor for Pendragon RPG from Chaosium and the upcoming adventure book, The Sauvage King. Hello, David.
Hello, Shelly. Glad to be back.
Yeah. So, okay, it's been a little bit. The last time you were on the channel, we were talking about, the launch of Pendragon 6th edition and the core rulebook. What's been going on since then? I mean, we've gotten the Game Master's Handbook, and now we have the Sauvage King.
Yes. I can't believe it's been that long. Time flies, I guess.
What can people expect from the new book?
Well, the Sauvage King is another adventure book, I guess you could say. So we released The Grey Knight around the same time we released the core rulebook, and that is kind of a little mini campaign, it's like kind of 3 game years worth of material. It's as such, it's kind of, structured, right? There's this overall scenario that you're playing through, and there's an end goal, and, there's a quest element and all that sort of thing. So the Sauvage King is more of an adventure collection, and the sort of centerpiece adventure, which takes up most of the book, honestly, is this giant sandbox of like an enchanted forest that game masters and players can make lots of hay from. Basically, you can approach it literally and figuratively from any number of different directions.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think it builds more into like a setting book in a way. That way you have like a setting to go from. It says up front in the introduction that people who are wanting to play this have to get the core rulebook or the starter set, which I'm a big fan of the starter set because of the make your own adventure gameplay mechanic. And also maybe the Game Master's Handbook, which is always good whenever you're wanting to run a game.
Sure.
Is this all because of the character creation aspect, or is there more mechanics that people can draw from?
We just recommend the core rulebook or the starter set because, this is just adventures, right? So you need some way to interface system-wise, right? So it works with either one because it is this, like you said, I like the way you put it. It is kind of a setting book as much as it's an adventure book. The Forest Sauvage, which is where we get our title from, is kind of smack dab in the middle of Britain. And so you can have knights coming from any part of Britain, including if you make your knights with the core rulebook from the county of Salisbury, or if you're using the pre-generated characters from the starter set, they come from all over. So it works no matter where you're coming from.
What other tools should people be utilizing when using the new book?
I do think we did a good job of kind of making it an all-in-one package. The Game Master Handbook, like you said, it's good to have. For space reasons, there are a few places where we had to kind of go with for this monster's stats, see the Game Master Handbook. But we have a lot of like original, monsters that are original to the book in the Forest Sauvage adventure, and we have a series of little random tables at the end of the book for generating scenarios on the fly, like scheming magicians and encounters with knights at crossroads and that kind of thing. So you don't strictly need the Game Master's Handbook, but it's good to have.
I was looking at some of the other adventures outside of the bigger ones that they have like a rolling mechanic where it's like roll this, it's like roll place, and it's kind of like an ad libs type of scenario.
Yeah.
What was the thought process of going into that kind of mechanic of like roll from this, roll from that, and you have your adventure now?
Yeah, that was a great addition by one of our co-authors on the book, Doyle Ranos Taverner. That was entirely from his own brain. So he sent that to me, and I thought, oh, this is brilliant, because Pendragon, it's a little bit like Call of Cthulhu in the sense that it's got this real deep backbench of scenarios, right? It's had scenarios published for it from the very beginning, and so there's just a ton to pick from, and 6th edition is, backwards compatible with older editions, so you can grab something from 3rd or 4th edition or whatever, and with just a little bit of tinkering, you can update it to 6th. But, it's nice to just sometimes maybe you've got another 30 minutes left in your session and you don't want to wrap it up, but, maybe you'll just roll some dice on this little scenario generator, and the knights are encountering something on their way back home. Or, it's also a great way if you want to write your original scenario, start there, roll some dice, get some random results, start using your imagination to link it all together and come up with a larger plot around that.
Yeah, I think I always love when people bring their own ideas to an already like made up setting, because then it's and it could be like something that's similar that's already in the book or completely different because of things that they know from whether it's the mythology or other mythologies they want to incorporate. So I love the fact that there's a rolling mechanic. I'm a big fan of the less prep that I have to do, the better. I'm a big fan of a D100 table.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, we're on the road. Let's see what we're going to encounter. Hey, roll this D100, see where we land.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people might call me lazy for that, but hey, some of the most ridiculous antics can come from a D100 table.
Absolutely, yeah. And you could even like integrate those tables with some of the other adventures that are in the book, so and just kind of add. There's a lot of replayability in this book, actually. I mean, not that your typical group is going to run the same adventure over and over again, but I don't know. If you're running multiple Pendragon campaigns, I can definitely tell you that no two iterations of the Forest Sauvage adventure are going to be the same.
Well, like you said, it's a sandbox, so it's just a great setting just to drop people in and be like, all right, let's see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. We've got tons of hooks in there for like why you'd want to go into an enchanted forest, which normally is not a great idea. And in my own home game, I actually was able to integrate multiple of those hooks because I was at a point in the campaign where I kept adding new players, and so every time a new player joined, I was like, you're wandering the forest for this reason, and you meet these other knights, and they're wandering the forest for that reason, and so they would sort of join up because they had mutual interest in trying to find the titular Sauvage King, and it is difficult. It's a difficult task. It's definitely one of those adventures that you can return to many years in a row as you sort of try different approaches, or maybe you need time to heal up because you had some nasty encounters in the woods, or got lost or what have you. So, it's even in a single campaign, there's this like high replayability value to it.
I'm a big fan of the fact that I can replay from a book and it's not just like a one-off. Like I can be like, all right, I'm going to go back and flip through and be like, okay, I can do this. I don't want a one and done type of scenario where it's not replayable. Um, but as mentioned before, you said it's backwards compatible with like older editions.
Mm-hmm.
Parts of this book, as well as other books in the line, were originally written by the late Greg Stafford,
Mm-hmm.
and were included in the Great Pendragon campaign in later editions.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this last time. What has it been like going through Greg's notes to try to find these nuggets for older players who are coming from older editions and new players who are just coming from 6th edition?
Oh yeah, I mean it's one of the best aspects of my job, but also one of the hardest because I want to do Greg's legacy justice, of course, and part of doing that is working with a great team of people. So, with the other co-developer, co-author on this book is David Zeman, who was a close friend of Greg's, was in his game group back in the day, and has contributed to a lot of other Pendragon publications, including being a developer on 6th edition. So he basically took the original Forest Sauvage adventure from the Great Pendragon campaign and sort of vastly expanded it. So there's a lot more encounters. There were some structural issues with the original Forest Sauvage and the maps. Something happened during the publication process where the maps just didn't really match up with the text very well. So now all that's been addressed. We have beautiful new maps. They match with the text, and just way more material included in the adventure proper. So, in terms of working with Greg's legacy and his manuscripts, that's kind of our general approach is like take what Greg did and expand on that based off of his own notes or kind of what we knew he wanted these future products to look like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who are coming from the older editions and trying to get into 6th edition are going to be very happy about that because nostalgia hits every time when it's like, oh yes, okay, this feels like something Greg would have written.
Yeah.
I speaking of the art and the text and everything like that, like I said in the other video, I love an illuminated manuscript and the funny little animals. We get a fish with feet. We get a fish with feet. What were y'all drawing from actual illuminated manuscripts to grab some of those animals, or what was the thought process of including some of these funny looking animals that you can see in the myths of that time?
Yeah, definitely for the artists who were working on those illuminations. I pointed them in the direction of the internet's vast archives of these kind of examples of marginalia. So some of them are directly inspired by that art, and a lot of them though are kind of products of the artist's own imagination. So I can't really say whether the fish with feet was completely original or not. It is funny though because in another forthcoming product, the Boy King, we have a random rumors table, and one of the results you can get is a whale with legs was seen walking along the beach in this particular part of Britain. So maybe there was a little bit of that going on, even unconsciously.
Maybe. It reminds me of the internet meme that was going on last year of Poisson Steve, Les Poisson Steve, like the little song. I was like, oh, this looks just like it. It's just medieval. It's very cute.
Well, I'll call that one Steve from here on out.
Yes, it's Steve. I mentioned in the intro that if people like the Green Knight movie, which I'm a big fan of, which is based on the tale of Sir Gawain and his adventure through the wilds to face off against the Green Knight. Were there any other poems like that were that influenced this book?
Ooh, yeah, that's a great question. So not so much poems, but folklore. There's a lot of folklore throughout the whole book. For instance, there's a little mini scenario that's one of my personal favorites because I'm also a Call of Cthulhu guy, so I like an opportunity to scare my players. So we have the Black Annis, which is your classic sort of blue-skinned hag who lives in the woods and eats babies, right? And that's straight out of the folklore of Leicestershire and or Leicester and that surrounding area, and the Forest Sauvage specifically has like some encounters and some sites that are from central England and folklore of that region. There's even the Adventure of the White Horse, which is not so much about the folklore, but does integrate the famous White Horse chalk. Yeah, what would you call that? It's not a mural, but
Oh,
chalk.
the cave drawings.
No,
Or
it's the you may have seen it. It's the shape of it's very abstract. It's a giant horse that's been cut out of the sod on the side of a hill down to the chalk line,
oh
and
gosh,
so
what is that called? I
yeah,
can't remember. There's a specific name in
yeah,
archaeology that they call that.
right,
And I
exactly,
can't
yeah,
remember.
yeah, and there's
Leave
these.
it in the comments
Leave it
if
in
you
the
know what it
comments,
means.
please. I know somebody knows it. But there's these sort of chalk outlines throughout Britain, and so there's this one that's very well known. That's this large horse, and so that's why it's called the Adventure of the White Horse, is because it kind of kicks off with traveling to that site for a particular reason, and then you realize, oh wait, we actually have to go somewhere else. So, and then it's a race to get there before sunup.
Speaking of the White Horse adventure, um, I mean, it's not a Pendragon game without horses.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, we have, and this adventure kind of has the center around it with the goddess of horses.
Mm-hmm.
How can our horse people get more out of this adventure?
This is a great adventure for horse people because if you play your cards right and you I don't want to give too much away, but if you play your cards right, you can get some really nice bonuses for your favorite horse. There is significant risk involved, so prepare yourself for that. But if you can get through it, get to the end, and sort of follow the clues. I'll say that, follow the clues, and if you do, you're going to get some nice buffs on your horse. Let's just say.
I love that. I think the horse people will be very excited. They're like, the best horse. I'm
Exactly.
going to have the best horse.
Exactly.
They're gonna min max their horse by
Min max
just
the
doing.
horse. Exactly. Yeah.
So on that, so we get kind of this expanded pantheon. A lot of people, I mean, if you have delved into the Arthurian legends or like read some of the other things, like other poems or later stories, King Arthur is a Christian tale, but with like pagan notes, and we're diving more into the fantasy and that those pagan notes of the world of King Arthur. What was it like to kind of add in this wild past of England and the myths and legends?
Yeah, that's it's the thing about Pendragon is that it synthesizes all the different sort of threads of Arthurian legend, which does include a sort of pre-Christian sort of through line with the old Celtic gods and the Roman gods, and the legacy of the Romans, the legacy of the Bronze Age Celtic civilizations, and it's fun to be able to play around with that. I know, Greg kind of went back and forth because, the foundational text for Pendragon is La Morte d'Arthur by Mallory, and that is a thoroughly Christian work. There's no paganism in that, other than arguably the sorceresses or whatever, who show up from time to time. But, all the knights are good Christian boys, and Greg sometimes, toyed with that idea of like, well, maybe it should just be, Christian knights are the only playable option. But, Greg was a shaman himself, and he, kind of wanted that representation in the game as well. And he knew that a lot of players also would like that option for their own characters. So, and it's something that 20th century Arthurian literature sort of brought back, and so it's definitely in the literature as well. But yeah, it's a fun element to play with, like you say, because it feels very rich, I guess I would say.
It feels grounded because I mean you're playing both in pre-Christian and a post-Christian kind of scenario, and it I don't know, it feels more historically accurate of the time because I mean, like most of Europe and most places that moved into Christianity as their dominant religion, there were still very much pagan things imbued into day-to-day society. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Are we going to Avalon anytime soon?
Yes. I don't know about soon, but we are going to have a book of magic that's going to be coming out, ever closer on the horizon as we move along. And that book deals very in depth with the Ladies of the Lake and the old gods and Avalon and all that good stuff. So that'll be in that book.
I can't wait. I can't wait. And I mean, so it looks like we're getting a Pendragon book per year, which I mean, that's amazing. What can we expect from Pendragon next?
Well, one thing I can say is that we are going to be seeing more Pendragon books every year, or products at least. So we have the Sauvage King coming out. Next up is the Game Master Screen Pack, which has already been printed and is just making its way out to distributors. So that's going to take, as long as it takes to kind of get out and get ready for shipping. But, we're hoping for, a little later this year. And then at the printers right now is the Noble's Handbook, which is the third in the sort of core trifecta. So we're going to get that one out this year. And then I mentioned the Boy King, which is going to be the first installment of our revised Great Pendragon campaign. And we're aiming to get that one out this year. I think we've got a good shot at it. So that would actually be 4 Pendragon products this year.
Wow, that's a lot of Pendragon. I'm very excited about that. Let the people know where they can find Pendragon and the Sauvage King whenever it comes out. February 5th, correct?
I believe so, yes. First week of February, say that much. And so, yeah, that is going to be available at Chaosium.com, PDF and print. You can get PDF at DriveThruRPG if you want to go that route. And, of course, find retailers everywhere. And if your local game store doesn't carry it, ask them if they can order it for you. Because we love our local game stores.
Exactly. Yeah, order from a local game store. Or if you want to get a PDF... can people get PDFs if they buy at the local game store?
If they're a member of the Bits and Mortar program, so which a lot of the stores that carry Chaosium products are. So, yeah, if you buy at the game store, I think you get like a code that you can then send to our lovely customer service person, Dustin, and he will get you a PDF.
Amazing. I love the fact that you get PDFs as soon as you order a book.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, agree.
it's like, yes, I can have both. Well, if you're excited about the Sauvage King and you're a fan of Pendragon, make sure to pick up the book everywhere you get it, including your local game store. Links for everything online will be down below. And thank you, David, for being part of the channel again. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me on, Shelley. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you. And, well, everyone, I'll see y'all on the internet. Goodbye!